Hey, what's up guys? I'm BTC. Blizzard just released the brand new Junkrat and Roadhog animation and a brand new map to go along with it, Junkertown. Junkertown has been officially revealed in the new Blizzard animation, along with the brand new map that's going to be hitting the PTR pretty soon. Right now, it's not on there. I think they're allowing the people over at Gamescom to try it out and mess around with it for a little first, and then after that, they're going to put it on the PTR for everybody else to try out. But it does look like a pretty good map. I'm going to talk about how it looks. I'm going to break down the trailer and go over all the new stuff that they're going to be adding to the map. Now, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe because I always make videos whenever stuff like this is updated. So subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any of it. So I'm going to get to the map breakdown in just a second here. But real quick, I want to talk about the animation because it's completely different than any of the other ones that we've had. So all the other animations, you know, the Hanzo, Genji, Tracer, Widowmaker, Reaper, Winston, the one with Just Soldier 76, and then the one with Bastion for sure, they're all very serious. They're all very full of drama. But this one is just straight up comedy. Like, there's nothing serious about this new animation at all. Now, unfortunately, it didn't really give me the stuff that I was looking for. I wanted to see a little bit more of the backstory of how, like, this whole place got into the Fallout style kind of destroyed apocalypse world. But instead, they just like, oh, hey, they get kicked out of Junkertown. And then, but we do find out, like, why they robbed the bank in Dorado and why they stole the royal jewels and stuff from King's Row. It's because they needed it for this. So they weren't just taking it just to take it because they wanted the money. That's why they went on their worldwide crime spree. So they steal all the stuff just to put it on a payload, bring it into Junkertown, and then blow it up. So the whole animation, Junkrat is basically, you know, the comedy, and then Roadhog is the straight man that kind of, like, you know, points out the really, really dumb stuff. So it's good. I'm not saying it's a bad animation. It's just way, way different from any of the other stuff. And that's kind of interesting, and I wonder how much more they're going to do with this, because their other stuff has actually been very well received. They're incredibly popular. I think the Bastion one even won an award. I don't remember exactly what award it was, but it did win something. So what do you guys think about it? Do you like this new style? Do you prefer it if they were all like the old style, where they're all more serious and more drama? Or do you want, like, kind of a mix of the two? Let me know down below. Alright, so let's move on to the actual map breakdown. So first thing is, yes, it's a very kind of post-apocalyptic world. It kind of feels a little bit like Borderlands and Fallout. But one thing that I noticed right off the bat in some of the kind of aerial shots is this map looks like it was ripped straight out of Team Fortress 2. Like, they literally just grabbed a map out of Team Fortress 2 and yanked it and put it into Overwatch. That's very much the feel that I'm getting with this. Now, I know some people are going to complain about that, but Blizzard has already said that Team Fortress 2 was a really big inspiration, and they do draw a lot of ideas from TF2. So I just want to show you a couple of pictures here, and, like, this is the Junkertown map right here, and then this is some of the Team Fortress 2 maps. So as you can see, like, there's a lot of similarity in that whole kind of structure. So Junkertown is going to be a standard payload map, just like Route 66 and Dorado, where you get the cart right away and you just start pushing it. There's no need to actually capture it first. Now, as far as the length of the map, it's probably going to be about the same as the other ones, although it might be a little bit longer. At least it kind of looks like it. I think Route 66 is a pretty good comparison for the structure of it as well. So in Junkertown, you start in the outside of the city, and then you have to go through a gate, and it takes you into the inner city, and then you go into an actual structure in another building itself. And that's just like Route 66. You start outside with the diner and the gas station, then you move on to the other area with, like, the bar, and then the third area is inside of, like, the giant hangar garage area. Alright, so let's check out the actual payload route. So right here, you can see that's the payload right there. It might be a little bit difficult to tell, but it starts right there, and immediately behind it in that building is almost certainly going to be the attacker spawn. They're going to come out, they're going to grab the payload and start moving it. Now you can notice there's a bunch of different high ground locations. You have the building on the left, you have the building on the right, then there's kind of like this overpass thing, like a little wooden bridge that the payload has to go under. I don't think that's going to be really good for trying to defend. That's way too close to the attacker's spawn. But a little bit further back, you have another much little smaller bridge that they could try to defend. And there's a good building on the right and to the left of that. And there's probably going to be a bunch of health packs and stuff like that. And here we have it from the attacker's point of view. So as you can see, there is a lot of high ground that they're going to have to contend with. Now, eventually, after they move through those couple little buildings and under those bridges, they're going to get to this spot right here, which is the gate to Junkertown, and this is very similar to what we see in, like, Route 66 and Eichenwald for the gates. So after the payload goes through the gate, you move into this next area, which is still open air, there's still sky above you, but the buildings are really close to the payload route. So this is an incredibly confined area. There's probably going to be a couple little flanking routes that people can take, but for the payload itself, it's going to go through this really narrow area. Now, there is a little bit of high ground for the defenders to use, but I don't think there's going to be too much, because if there was a lot of high ground here, it would be almost impossible for the attackers to actually move the payload through. I don't think there's any other payload map that has an area similar to this. The closest I can think of is towards the end of Route 66, where you get it into the first part of that large kind of hangar or mechanic hall or whatever. Like that area, when you're kind of bring it up the ramp and turn it around the corner, that's kind of restricted, but it's not really too difficult to actually get it up and through that area. Usually a lot of the defense takes place a little bit past that. But for this section of Junkertown, it looks like it's just really confined, and it's going to be very difficult for the attackers to actually make it through here. Moving on to the next section of the map, even though it goes inside of a building, it's actually more open than the previous section was. So you have a lot more space between the payload and the walls. However, this section is where Blizzard introduces, kind of slash modifies, some new map mechanics. And that is the idea of the moving platform. Now, some of the other maps, like Volskaya and Route 66, have moving platforms. Bastions like to set up on top of those. Torbjorns will put turrets on them and stuff. This is a little bit different, though. I don't think just plopping down a turret or a bastion is really going to be as effective. Although, I think if Symmetra put some turrets on the backside of the blades, the ones that are the edge that's facing away from the enemy, when the whole blade thing kind of spins around, it would be able to hit everybody as it's spinning, and all of the attacking players would then have to quickly turn around and look up in order to shoot the little turrets. I mean, that would be kind of a neat... I don't know if Symmetra is going to be viable at this point in the map or not, but I just thought it would be kind of neat to do. It also looks like there's a bunch of areas or platforms that low mobility characters can get to if they use this spinning thing. So they're going to have to climb up on top of it, wait for it to spin around, and then they can jump onto the other platforms and get to the other areas to actually defend. And then moving on into the last area here, you can see there's lots of speakers and lights, and also there's the throne for Junkertown's queen, but all of that is just cosmetic. The stuff that actually matters is the fact that it looks like there's a bunch of doors all over the place. So I think there's 2 on the left and 2 on the right, which means that the defenders are probably going to have kind of a weird spawn. Like, I'm guessing the defenders are immediately behind where the throne is. Like, right behind there is where they're going to spawn. And then they have the option to go out to the left or to the right, and then they can hit the attackers, like, right then. So kind of like what happens in Eichenwald, except it's a little bit more enveloping of that final capture point. So that's kind of neat that the defenders have that option to approach from both sides and from multiple areas on both sides. So that's the route that the payload has to take. There are some other things that I want to quickly point out, though. Like, this, for example, looks like it's a flanking route at some point in the map. I think this is going to be when you're inside of that building that has the spinny blade thing. And then this area right here, it's got like a bunch of speakers and some makeup chairs and stuff. This might be the spawn room that is behind the Queen's Chamber, or maybe kind of close to it. Or this one right here, this also has a bunch of speakers and stuff. This could just be a side room, or it could be a spawn room somewhere. This area, this is the Scrooge McDuck room. I'm sure that's probably what it was called internally. They can't officially, use that, though. This is almost certainly a spawn room, and the reason I would say that is because it's got 2 different doors, and usually that is what Blizzard uses for spawn rooms, just so that there's no Maywall shenanigans. They have a rule that they have to have multiple exits to every spawn room. And then this last room right here, I don't think this is a spawn room. It looks like it's just a flanking route, kind of side room. And we have some of the Fallout style power suit things that are going on here. But if you look closely, you can also notice that there's a lot of inspiration from the shredders, which are from World of Warcraft. The goblins use them in order to chop down the trees and stuff like that. So you can see the giant kind of buzzsaw arm that one of these has. But I think this is just like a side room. So I think that about covers all of it. Once they put the map on the PTR, I will upload gameplay of this map. So if you want to check that out, make sure you subscribe and hit that bell so you don't miss any of it. Also, let me know, what do you think about the animation and the new map? Put your feedback down in the comment section below. Also, don't forget to check out my Discord server where you can join the community and find other players to group with. The link for that is in the description. Thanks for watching. Hit that like button. Remember, always blame the controller, because it's never your fault. Also, special thanks to all my Patreon supporters for helping to make this all possible. If you'd like to see what kind of cool rewards you can get for supporting the channel, check the links on screen and down below.